morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us as we close out our week here during our morning devotion time. Well, I woke up to the news this morning, and I know we've all been probably seeing glimpses and hearing glimpses on the radio of what's happening across the United States today. And man, it breaks my heart to see the way people respond to tragedy, the way that there are now riots in the United States. There are in several cities over injustice, and man, you just wake up and you see, wow, what a crazy world we're living in. As if there's not already enough going on, and now this, and it just kind of brought my attention to a passage that I think we all need to be reminded of this morning, because the world is going to be turned upside down. It's already upside down, and now it's getting tumbled, as it seems. And what do we do? What do we as believers do? How are we supposed to respond? How are we supposed to react to stuff, to things that are happening in our world? And that's always a question that's difficult. What are we supposed to say when we see the injustice that's done, that causes people to not only gather to protest, but then eventually riot? But we know that rioting is wrong. How do we respond to things that we know? And I just thought there's an exhortation in the book of Philippians to the church, to believers, followers of Jesus Christ, to look at and say, you know what, I think it's important for us to take note of, to respond to properly. Because when Paul talks to the church in Philippi, he says in verse 14 of chapter 2, "Do all things without grumbling or disputing, that you may be blameless and innocent, children of God without blemish in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation." Now I'm going to stop there, and I just want to break this down a little bit. So he says, do all things without grumbling and complaining, disputing. So how many of you guys like to complain about stuff? I mean, I'll be honest with you, I have found myself complaining about stuff. One of the things that I heard a while back and still hear occasionally is, "How are you doing?" "Well, I'm doing pretty good." No sense in complaining about it, because nobody else would listen anyways. You see, but we're not called to be people who are grumblers and complainers about life. No, we're supposed to be those who know that there's a sovereign God in control. There's a God who loves us and cares for us and wants what's best for every person in this world, to enter into a relationship with him, to be holy as he is holy. We know all of that. And we cannot walk around complaining about how bad our life is and how bad things are, and this person and that person, this situation, that situation, and then expect the world to look at us and go, "Oh, you know what? I really see Jesus at work in you. You know what? I really like to be like that person." No. We're also supposed to do it without disputing. That's an interesting thing. We're not supposed to quarrel with one another. I understand we're not always going to see eye to eye. We're not always, but man, if we look at our brothers and sisters in Christ, should we not say, "You know what? I don't want to do this. I need to forgive you. Maybe you need to forgive me. Maybe we just need to say, you know what? Let's just let that lie. Let that go. It's not worth holding on to." So he says, "Do all things without grumbling or disputing, that you may be blameless and innocent children of God." So that the world doesn't have anything to say against you. So that when you present the gospel to them, they can't go, "Well, that makes a lot of sense, but I've seen the way that you live." You see what he goes on to say is, look, that you may be innocent and blameless, children of God without blemish. Now catch this, in the midst of a crooked, and the King James says perverse generation. The ESV here says twisted. You see, our aim is to minister the gospel of Jesus Christ to a lost and dying world, not give them a reason to not believe the gospel. To not give them a reason for them to say, "Well, yeah, the gospel makes sense, but you living the way you live doesn't." You see, we live in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, and we, as Paul exhorts the church, are to shine as lights in the world. We're supposed to shine as lights in the world, holding fast the word of life, so that in the day of Christ I may be proud that I did not run in vain or labor in vain. So Paul says, hey, this is the bottom line. You are the light of the world. You are the light. You're the ones telling people about Jesus. You're the ones sharing Jesus Christ with this world. Not trying to be just a good person, not trying to be just a more moral person than the next guy. No, you are a child of God. You should be innocent and blameless, so that when we live in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, we hold forth the light, the gospel, the word of truth, so that people can come to know Jesus Christ. What a privilege, but also what a responsibility. That means we should take our lives and we should weigh everything against that backdrop, against that goal, against that aim. If my aim is to be blameless and innocent so that I can shine forth the light of the gospel, then here's what we have to do. Every decision, every friendship we engage in, every interaction we take part in, do we weigh that against the consequences of eternity? We may be eternally secure, but what about the person that you're trying to minister to? Do they know Jesus Christ? Are they facing eternity in hell? And why would we, if we love Jesus and we love these people, want them to be in heaven, want to give them any excuse, any reason whatsoever to reject the gospel? We should not. And Paul says, my hope and my desire is that at the end of the day, if that's the way you're living, then I haven't run in vain. I have not ministered in vain. And I can be proud of the fact that you have followed after Jesus Christ. I know as a pastor, there is no greater feeling than when the church and the people that God has entrusted me to lead and guide as a shepherd, as an overseer of the church. When the people of the church stand up and live the way that they're supposed to and do the things that God says in His Word to do, and they walk in obedience, trusting God, there is no greater blessing for a pastor. There is no greater blessing in my ministry than when I see the gospel take hold in the lives of people and change and transform their lives. That is the greatest experience as a pastor. To see people not only believe in Jesus Christ, but live for Jesus Christ. And that's what Paul's exhortation is. And we can look at the world around us that's imploding. We have riots now across the states. We have people standing up and saying enough is enough. We have a whole bunch of different things that are happening. And I believe that this morning we are called to live as children of the light, being innocent and blameless and holding forth the word of truth, the word of life, the gospel of Jesus Christ for this world to see. That's something to think about as we close out our week and we go through our weekend. And I don't know what many of your schedules hold or what your days look like, but will you accept that challenge from Paul to hold forth the word of light and be blameless and innocent before this world? I do want to challenge us before we go to pray this morning. And as I said this morning, we woke up and I watched Minneapolis look like it's on fire. I love that city. I've traveled there many times. There's great things there. My family and I have enjoyed vacations there. And to see the people in such unrest, to see the destruction and maybe even the harm that's coming to other individuals, we need to pray for the city of Minneapolis. We need to pray for Denver and for Louisville and Columbus and Los Angeles, all these places where these riots are breaking out, and pray that God would intervene and that in that intervention people would not only come to know Jesus Christ, but also that the loss of property and the loss of life would stop. So thank you guys for joining in. If you guys want any more information, you guys can check out www.nippeganbaptist.com. They have great resources available there for you. We have daily devotions. We have midweek Bible studies. We have information on our food hamper program if you're in need. Check it all out. It's all there, nippeganbaptist.com. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you Sunday morning for our Sunday service. God bless.